And I can start with something. We've been talking about social economy here now. I've been in this business for 15 years and trying to do something, mobilizing, testing. And what we are talking about today is the summary of all the success factors. It's easier, more funny to remember what went good and well. But we're also noticing what went to hell. The disaster factors, the fiasco factors. That's also the most interesting one. How to avoid to make another bankruptcy, how to make fails. That is the main message actually in this model I'm going to talk about. And during this last year, I noticed in those countries who have more problem than Sweden, Greece, Spain, Portugal, Italy, it's been a movement now within this social economy movement. They're talking about solidarity economy in a more, because in the social economy it's very, very wide. I'm just going to talk about the hardcore of the social economy. That's what I'm going to talk about today. But even in the social economy, it's very wide. As you will see, we need to talk about, Margareta mentioned it, quality aspects of this. The degree of democracy involvement, for example, is a very obvious one, where you see what's good and what it can be without. And I've seen this movement growing now to get a chance to survive in countries with perhaps 50-60% unemployment among youth. You will have to think outside your own box, outside your own business, even if it's a social business or working cooperative, how to work together. Some of these movements we have put in our model, but we are talking about other model, trade coins. We have about open up other type of banks and credit systems. I think we need many pieces to support each other to the other traditional world, the greedy ones, that you're only counting money. You have to count money enough to cover your expenses, but who can eat money? This I met when I was on Åland, the small islands between Sweden and Finland. I heard it first time, it was in Swedish of course then, but I think this is, could be one picture, manure, det är dynga eller skit om ni så vill. Den här presentationen, this presentation, you will get it after a while if you want. In 15 minutes it will be an express version now of it, but you can wave a hand and try to break me if you want to. I want to start with my Bibles here. I will start with Sven-Inge, the man in his corner. We wrote this together, Work for All. Is it possible? It's still on ostsam.se on the website and will be reachable in Coompanion and Kooptjänst later. There's a short version of it. Without this one, many doors would still have been locked. In short, we point out that the system we are running now in Östergötland is costing us somewhere between 10 and 20 million Swedish crown a year, if you do it billion, if you do it the way we're doing now. So there's a big capacity of saving money. And that is always the first line when you talk to other businesses, politicians, civil servants. How much can we save on this one? Then we can talk about humanistic resources and so on. And the other one I want to mention is a very good book. There are 3 books now by Lasse Berg about humanity's history. It's interesting when we are talking with people with some racist ideas and so on. When we get to the point we all see that we are coming from the same tribe in Africa, then the discussion usually turns in another way. But Gryning över Kalahari heter den första då. Han har ju då, he's been doing some research on this. But what's interesting with that, some note, I can't go in deeply to this, I could spend one evening on this, but I've been thinking much about if we were going to do the best business, the best company in the world, how should we plan it? What are people made for? Are we made for the society that we have today? The modern society, when we can talk about we don't need everybody in society. We can afford to have 10% outside. We don't need you. You are too ugly, you are too unproductive, you are too young, you are too much, you don't know how to speak Swedish or whatever. You have the wrong degree from some wrong university or whatever. It's a very absurd point of view. If we go back in some sort of modern societies or groups of men working together for a couple of 100,000 years, what has been the main life? What have we been eating? How is the life spent during days? I think it's interesting to look upon these type of aspects when you're building companies for tomorrow. Optimal populations, if you're talking about democracy, you have a limit. My limit is if you're more than 30, 40, perhaps you should divide, because it's very hard to have a living democracy if you're talking about 175 people in 8 municipalities that we are going to talk about. You have to do something about it. It's not, there are not so many people that in a room with this many people can stand up and give their point on some issue. You have to look if you really mean something by people are going to participate in the work. You have to think about that in population when you're building companies, I think. The other question, cooperate or compete, it's a matter about if the old question, is man good or evil? There are some in these books, they are talking about we are made for cooperating. The man is made for that. Then there's been some other influences, of course, pulling some other triggers. But if we go back in history, for the last 200 years we have this, since the Industrial Revolution, then we started to have a surplus of labor force. That's a rather modern question or problem. If we go back, long back, everybody was needed in society, and I think we have to get back to that. In what terms can everybody participate in a modern society where work is one important? I'm not going so much into work, social activities and culture. It's better if you read the book, and they are telling me about the good life. It's in this village he is visiting, they are working 3 or 4 hours a day. The rest of it is talking, dancing and having fun. I think that's a rather good option. It's a history of hunters, collectors, creators, and now we are consumers who will save the world. When a couple of years ago I saw this t-shirt, the one who has the most things when he dies wins. That's the system. That's what the game is about today. Or Coop service. Some short facts on this. We have been talking about that before. It started up in full scale 4 years ago, roughly. 2013 it was a turnover for 2.5 million euros. We are employed today 75. We have outside the employed cooperators, we are also participants, people who are unemployed that wants to have a job, that are working on that. We are established in 8 municipalities, 5 in Östergötland, 2 in Sörmland and 1 in Jönköping. Motala is not one of them, not yet anyway. We have some talks about that. I can also express it in there are 40 small term of businesses working together. There's only one organization number that is very important in Sweden, as we have personal numbers. It's just one firm, but we allow, for example, these guys who are making the filming here today, they are calling Pangbyrån del av Kooptjänst. They are part of Kooptjänst. And we have made a mix of trying to get the best out of being a little bit bigger organization, but at the same time have the free here, the freedom of being a small type of business. And if I shall try to estimate in this 40 businesses 4 years back, I said if we hadn't worked this way, we would have had at least 5 bankruptcies along this one. The film bureau, Pang Bureau, they needed something between 6 and 12 months to get black figures. I'm looking at Fredde now, roughly. It was just possible because others in this company believed in their business idea and supported them during that time. So you can say, and we are also trying to mix low-skilled jobs. The most obvious thing that you do when you start a social business or a cooperative is starting with second-hand cleaning, easy garden work. But our philosophy is to, as soon as possible, also get high-skilled jobs, like making films, like documentaries in the new technique. It's also important to make career possibilities within such of this type of work, in working cooperatives, not just establishing in one level and staying there, doing the same the rest of your life. It must be career ways, both to other jobs outside the working cooperative, but also inside. We have this contract. We have a start salary of 1,800 euros, and we have a top salary 3,600, and that's a policy decision. No one is going to be allowed to earn more than double up in this company. We have difference in wages, but not more than double up, by different reasons. It would be hard to work if we had 10 times. Someone 1,800 and someone 8,000, 18,000. It would be hard to work together. Our board is a mix of external experts, if you can call them, and cooperators. From every municipal there is one participating in the board, so they know what's happening, and they have an insyn, vad fan heter det på engelska då? Insight, oh, very easy. On every level we have one local manager on the municipal level, and we have roughly 5 to 10 cooperators that have been unemployed and now are employed, and roughly 10 to 50 participants, as we call them. But in this democratic system, everybody has a vote, either if you're a participant or a cooperator. What's interesting in this, perhaps I should have talked more about this, but it's hard to just pick one piece out of it. The way we're working with these 40 small-scale businesses in one firm, you can say we have our own insurance system. It's very nice to be in charge and to take decisions by yourself and not have to ask some bank, some fund, some municipality, please can we get so and so much money to do this and this. I'm really fed up of that after 15 years in this business. It's nice to have your money. What we think it's important, we do it. And one of the main things is that we can guarantee each other or less the risk of getting unemployed again. So we have this system. We can, as for the startup process with this Pang Bureau, or if something is going down in business, that we can say, you can get 3 months in restaurera, vad säger man? Repairing, yes, we can use repairing it. And it's the same in banking system. I'm coming to that later. We have about 600,000 euros in own capital now. We made our first real estate. We bought a house in Kinda. We looked at if we should rent this estate or buying it, and we bought it, and we bought it cash without any bank loans. And that was a little bit of an attitude thing. It's a marketing in attitude. And we have a slimmed and effective regional organization, because it's very easy when you start building something new. You must find new posts for people. And it's a very, very slim, perhaps a little bit too hard, slimmed organization. But if you do that, then you enforce people to step up to take new responsibilities. If you haven't got resources to everything, someone has to do something they haven't done before. And that's the point. Because if someone else is doing it, okay, why should I do it? And I would like to also stress that I see democracy as a growth factor in many debates and contexts. We are looking at democracy as a problem. How the heck shall we manage this? People are thinking, and they are thinking the wrong things. They don't understand what we want. So we have morning meetings in all businesses on the business level every morning, so everybody knows what to do. And this is a very turbulent type of work, so we need to do it. And we have really monthly meetings. From the board, one representative from the board is outside. Then we talk about economic reports. We put on the table this much money we have earned this month. How should we spend this money? Saving it, employing one, invest in a new car or a new facility or whatever. And we have board meetings, of course. And we're always aiming for consensus. If we have a votation situation, we take a bordläggning, vad fan heter det på engelska? Yes, we take the decision in the next meeting instead. And trying to find, because we have seen if you have a vote 40-60 or 30-70 or whatever, the one who loses will be bitter for a long time, more than 1 month anyway. So it's smarter to make some new facts, check up things that people haven't understand, and make some pleading for, can we get consensus on this one? It will be good. And so far, we haven't had a vote in the board, as I can remember, in a way. Not in a big question. And this, by everybody is taking part of this, I must say, the most important when you work with long-time unemployed people is to build up self-esteem, to build up yourself again. Because people don't believe in themselves anymore. That is the worst damage. When I was young, it was society's wrong when you're unemployed. Fuck society. Now they have succeeded really in, it's your fault that you're unemployed. You haven't brushed your teeth, you have a bad CV, you have a whatever. The guilt is on individuals today. And that is very serious if I shall talk as a public health responsible politician as I am so far. That's what we are dealing with. And democracy, everybody can take part, take responsibility, be a part of the future. It's a very effective way to building up people again instead of pulling them down. Coop service model is very easy. Easy startup, safe driving, developing. That's what we are offering. And we say some of our starts have been doing in cooperation with Orangeriet 1 and 2 that Marie has been in charge of. So there are some papers outside here. But we have also made 2 fresh starts without any EU funding or Allmänna arvsfonden. It's in Tranås och Ydre. And if you have sorted out all problems in Motala and other, if you say we are ready, we want to, there are some participants that wants this, the municipality wants this, the unemployed agency wants this, then we can say in 2 months we are running. And that's a rather quick one when you start a business. And safe driving, I'm talking about that. We have supportive structures, both in cooperation with the Coompanion, with the region, we will have it, I hope, soon, or other organizations. But also we have our own supportive structure. That's the only thing we know works. That's what we have, and we have afford to have by ourselves. So what can I say? Test your ideas on. If you have some ideas, call us. Call me or someone here and said, would this be possible? What we have been detecting recently now is there are many small and medium businesses closing down because the relatives, they are now inheritages, säger man det? Arvingar? Yes, to the companies. The sons and the daughters don't want to do what their father and mothers have been doing. And the alternative is putting it down if it isn't a gold nugget business. But those have other companies really picked. this brödföretag, as we say in Sweden, those who cover the costs for salary, for all the facilities, and it's a little bit plus, those companies are at risk at putting down. And if you could get a connection with the cooperative 1 year before close down, you have the time to learn the business and to give it over, buy it softly during 1 year instead of sharp day one. We are interested in this. Perhaps you have some. We have experience and skills in doing this, because there's no rocket science in what we are doing. The skills are the timing and to know when shall we do what, and what can we believe in, and what must be sought away. I think that's the skill Coop Service has today. We have the organization and we have the resources. We are running a sustainable business. Unfortunately, we're talking about money now, but both in an environmental way and social sustainability, we are a modern company, you can say. If you're interested in participants, how we motivate them, I can go back to this. I think it will be a problem with my 50 minutes anyway. Most, I think, important to society outside, we must be everybody's darling all the time. All the political parties should like us all the time. The authorities, the företagarna, the company organization, the trade unions must like us all the time. If we get heavy criticism from some areas, then we are in problems. So it's much about having fingertip feeling what you can do and what you can't do. We never go in over-established branches. We never go in dumping salaries. We have at least 250 Swedish crowns an hour and up, never under that. So, and then there is no problem with trade unions and other companies. Innovations, yes, we are a social innovation. We're driving at more qualified work, I said. We never use credits. Cash first, costs later. Traditional sound economy. We're working on the open market as any other company. We have collect contracts between Kommunal, Central and KFO. We have a sustainable construction. And the point is we're working 100% of each person's capacity. You can come to us with disabilities and so on. And Sweden have a very, very good system compared to the rest of Europe and the world. That we have unemployed agency with the government behind. All parties agree on this, and that's good. That if you have a lack of productivity, as I see as an employer, they are prepared to fill in the gap. If you only have 50% working capacity, no one will pay you 100% in salary. But this system works with the unemployed agency. And we have adjusted all our company to work with this. The problem is sometimes you have to ask to talk if you are ordering some garden service from us and we don't have to talk before. Perhaps 3 guys or girls are appearing in your garden. You think, I did order 1, but together perhaps they are 1. And we are delivering what 1 ordinary in this branch is working. So, and you only have to pay for that. It must be neutral to other companies and to, yeah, so. But this makes it possible to have people with, if we want to look into this, I think one of Jonas' questions perhaps is obviously, I can skip this now. How do you do it in practical? What are the steps from idea to running it? I can go into that later if you want to. This is my contact issues. In our website you can see some films about 1 person with 1 idea. We have we're making chocolate pralines in Linköping. The story of Elisabeth is interesting. We have an interesting story in Finspång. We have an interesting story. Pangbyrån, ni har ingen egen film, va? Ja, det har de. They have a film about Pangbyrån. You can see how, because it's interesting to see one person with one idea. When you're coming to us as a long-term unemployed, you can be offered to take part in some of our workshops, but you're also allowed to bring your own idea. And we have shown some of the ideas, what has happened to them when you can match it with the cooperative way of working. Du vinkar så du ska sluta nu va?
Thank you, Lelle.